they need a player. They need a player. And maybe Kuminga could be that without Butler, maybe not. I would move him for whatever you can get. If you can do it for a DeRozan-type player, I think that would really help. It doesn't mean a superstar. It's just someone like that. DeRozan probably isn't quite that player. I just think that's where this Kuminga thing is headed.
Hey, TK, what's going on this afternoon?
Hey, not much. Mark, how you doing? Dibs, how you doing?
Hey, Tim.
We're doing great, man. We're doing great, but obviously this is a moment in time where Warrior fans are starting to ask big questions, sort of years-long questions. And I wonder if the Warriors are asking the same questions. Do you think that Steph Curry is considering big things, or is he still in the moment?
Yeah, he's in the moment. I think he talked about it last night. You can't ask him to all of a sudden say, okay, now everything I've thought about for the last 14 years has changed. These things take time, and I don't think it will change in the short term. It's very easy for all of us to just say, it's over, forget about it, it's dump everything. Once you do it, you never can go back. And I think that should be, it's not fun on Twitter or on talk shows or even on podcasts to say that, but it is true. Once you pull that string, it's over. And I think there is some value for everybody who's still there, with Steph being the most important part of that you don't make a rash decision. They did get to the second round. I guess, many people don't care about that, but that did happen. They were up 1-0 before Curry got hurt. Doesn't mean they were going to win a championship, but it means that they were playing very respectable basketball, playoff basketball. They lost Jimmy Butler. That's kind of screwed this season. There's no question about that. But I think, the clamor to make a decision now, I always push back against that. That is always going to be my thing. You don't have to make the decision now, so you don't make it now. And you think about what is still possible with this group. Maybe it's over. Maybe it's been over for a while. But if you have Steph Curry, as the guy himself said, I think you got a chance in a lot of situations, maybe a lot of playoff rounds, maybe not all of them. I'm just going to resist saying, okay, I'm tired of watching this. I'm mad about that last game. So it's over now. You make that decision and you're the Wizards for 5 years. Maybe that's inevitable. I understand if the Warriors and Steph Curry and everyone else don't want to do that. And I'm going to probably be lining up with them. So you don't want to be the Wizards. No matter, I guess, everyone claiming they want to be the Wizards, I don't think the Warriors should want to be the Wizards.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to be the Wizards, and the Wizards didn't get the 4 titles that the Warriors did and before they became the Wizards, so that becomes part of it. I just wondered, Tim, about the idea of the box office part of this, where Joe Lacob wants to win, we know that, but at the same time, having Steph Curry all but guarantees that the box office will be full. How much of that is at the forefront of any decision they ultimately make?
It's part of it. You got Chase Center, you got seats to fill. I think it's also only as long as Steph Curry wants to be on this team, and I think he does. That doesn't mean it's guaranteed forever, but you don't move Steph Curry if you're coming off a playoff run and he wants to stay on the team, and you still have some idea that you can be competitive, maybe for the rest of the year, maybe not, but next year too. Jimmy Butler will be coming off an ACL at age 37. At that point, that's a tough road, but there are other trade possibilities. Again, all these sound, moderated in terms of now, it's terrible, over. And I just don't have that same opinion. And as long as Steph Curry believes and there's some things that they can do, and there's some hope, not maybe for this year, again, that doesn't sound like it's too feasible, but maybe, or get a piece that can help them this year and then really help them next year. I think that is worth examining, and certainly as long as Steph Curry wants to do it. And part of my resistance to this is you're telling Steph Curry that he's wrong. You're telling Steph Curry that he shouldn't have any hope. I think Steph Curry has the right to have as much hope as he wants to. And at least for now, it's with this team. It's in this city. It's with this franchise. This franchise has, done a lot to try to win. They haven't done it in the last few years, but they've done a lot to try. And I think they're going to continue to push, maybe not for the right things. And I think as long as Steph Curry is okay with it, then he's not just a box office, right? He's not just a ticket seller. He's somebody who's part of the decision making. And as long as he wants to do it, I don't know how the Warriors walk away from that.
TK, a little bit of breaking news. You may know this already. Jonathan Kuminga is out. They're calling it left knee soreness after that twist and hyperextension last night. So nothing more than that right now, though. I will ask you in a more general sense, what do you know in this moment about the larger Kuminga situation, and what was kind of your reaction to Mike Dunleavy's for there to be a demand, there needs to be demand comment the other night?
Well, that was a very interesting comment, and I guess the Amazon broadcasters were working very hard to say that we were just overreacting to that. I think they were wrong. God bless them. They're good guys. I know Brent Barry very well, but I think they were instructed to say that was not a big deal, and yet it probably was. Knowing Mike Dunleavy, he doesn't say stuff like that out of the blue. I think, it certainly could change. It always can change. Things can shift. Kuminga playing well before he got hurt was a potential shift. But I still think I think the Warriors are tired of this. We can all imagine Steve Kerr's very tired of this. I think they were thinking it was going to be resolved at some point before February 5th, trade deadline. Probably the most likely thing. Again, I don't know. I guess Dunleavy's response, it was to my question, so I was listening very carefully, was mostly communicating there just isn't a trade out there that they want to do. And isn't this like this 17 teams lining up and outbidding each other? That's not there. Maybe it's 2 or 3 teams. I still think that is the likeliest scenario. I don't think they're going to get what they want. I know Joe Lacob does not want to do it for anything that he's going to regret. He still is a huge Kuminga fan. We saw him pumping his fists in that home game when Kuminga was playing, getting 20 points. That was notable. It was Joe Lacob walked past me and was pointing out that Kuminga played very well. And I said, I know. I was tweeting about it. He goes, yeah, I saw. But I don't know that this thing can go on for much longer. And maybe they keep him through the deadline if they just don't have a trade that they like. I would, suggest that, DeMar DeRozan, I don't think they want to do that, right? They feel that's selling way too low, and maybe they watch Kuminga go for 25 and 10 on their heads for the next 10 years in Sacramento. He's not doing anything for them now, possibly moving into a higher rotation spot after Butler, but possibly not. Injured now. I just don't think this has worked. No, nothing against Kuminga's talents. I've always said that, but you kind of got the contract thing going on. You kind of got the player wanting to move on thing going on. They need a player. They need a player. And maybe Kuminga could be that without Butler, maybe not. I just think by the February 5th thing is coming up too soon. I would move him for whatever you can get, barring that it's not worse than DeRozan. If you can do it for a DeRozan-type player, I think that would really help them. I'm of the opinion like one more player would help them, not enough to win a championship. If Butler was healthy, one more player would really, really be interesting. But without Butler, you need one more player to make this feasible. They don't have that player. I was like Najee Marshall last night would have been really important for the Warriors. Did not happen. They don't have that guy. Can I get someone like him? It doesn't mean a superstar. It's just someone like that. DeRozan probably isn't quite that player, but he's a very interesting player. He's an older player. I just think that's where this Kuminga thing is headed.
If he doesn't get traded, which would be the more prevailing notion to you, that Lacob loves Kuminga or that he doesn't just want to lose a trade?
Yeah, he loves him. There's no question, which leads them to, they don't want to sell cheap. And that would just be for, money exchange or something that is less, let's just say less than the value of what a normal first-round pick, middle first-round pick. I think that's generally what they're looking for. I think they would have moved further with Kings talks in the offseason if it would have evolved unprotected pick that could have landed in the 10 to 15. I think that's what they generally are wanting from him. I understand that they would want that. I don't think they're going to get that. And so if they don't do it, I keep saying DeRozan, but to me, he's like the floor of what they, could possibly accept. Lower than that, it doesn't make sense because you might get more from him in the offseason. If they have an offer like a DeRozan offer, they turn down, that would be because Joe Lacob does not want to lose a trade, and he does not want to give up a player he really likes. He would like to see playing. He's been pretty open about that. Steve Kerr is the coach. Steve Kerr decides this. That's been relatively decided in the franchise, I think. I think Mike Dunleavy is kind of, sort of agrees with this sense. Move him now. If you don't move him yet, I think it would largely be because Joe Lacob does not want to give him up for just anything. And maybe that gets him a better deal on February 5th. Maybe it doesn't. But I think that is the proper read of this.